All right, this is Enmity Part 5. And we talking about the tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes, who are the inheritors and the promise over the land of Egypt. And I'm saying that America, 3 Americas belong to them as well, which was the ancient Western Egyptian Empire. The Egypt of the West is the promise to the land of the children of Israel. So, when the tribes of Israel were in Egypt, they were in Egypt in the 12th dynasty, okay? During the time of Sesostris, okay, they lived and then they died, okay? And in their testimony, they was prophesying to their children what was going to happen to them in the latter days. And it was enmity for one of the tribes who had a blessing better than the rest of those, Joseph. All right. Another son's testimony, we're going to go to Gad. Gad had hatred in his heart. And let's listen to what he says. In the 125th year of the life, Gad assembled his sons. And he spake to them, I am the 9th son of Jacob, and I was a valiant shepherd of the flocks. I guarded the herds, and when a lion or any wild beast approached, I pursued it. Gripped it by the foot, flung it a stone's throw from me, and killed it thus. Once for a space of 30 days, Joseph tended the flocks with us. And when he returned to our father, he told him that the sons of Zilpah and Bilhah slaughtered the best of the herds and used the flesh without the knowledge of Reuben and Judah. He had seen me snatch a lamb out the jaws of a bear, kill the bear and slaughter the lamb, for it was too badly injured to live. I was wroth with Joseph for his tale-bearing. Like he was a tattleteller until he was sold into Egypt. I would neither look upon him nor hear aught about him. For to our very faces he blamed us, because we had eaten the lamb without seeking the permission of Judah first. And whatever Joseph told our father would believe him. Now I confess my sin, that oftentimes I longed to kill him, for I hated him from the bottom of my heart. And on account of his dreams, I hated him still more. And I desired to destroy him from off the land of the living. But Judah sold him by stealth to the Ishmaelites. Thus the God of our father saved him out of our hands, and he did not permit us to commit an abominable outrage in Israel. Hear now, my children, the words of truth, that ye may practice justice and the whole law of the Most High, and permit yourselves not to be tempted by the spirit of hatred. Evil is hatred, for it is the constant companion of deception. It always contradicts the truth. A little thing it magnifies into a great thing. Light it takes for darkness. The sweet it calls bitter. And it teaches slander and kindles anger, brings on war and violence, and fills the heart with devilish poison. I tell you my own experience, my children, that ye may drive hatred out of your hearts and cleave to the love of the Lord. Righteousness banishes hatred, and humility kills it. For he that fears to give umbrage to the Lord desires not to do wrong even in his thoughts. This is what I recognized at the last, after I had done penance on account of Joseph. For true atonement, pleasing to God, enlightens the eyes, illumines the soul with knowledge, and creates a counsel of salvation. My penance came in consequence of a sickness of the liver that God inflicted upon me. Without the prayers of my father Jacob, my spirit would have departed from me. For through the organ of my liver, wherewith man transgresses, he is punished. As my liver had felt no mercy for Joseph, unmerciful suffering was caused unto me by my liver. My judgment lasted 11 months, as long as my enmity was toward Joseph. And now, my children, each of you shall love his brother, and ye shall uproot hatred from your hearts by loving one another in word and deed and the thoughts of the soul. For I spake peaceably with Joseph in the presence of our father. But when I went out from before him, the spirit of hatred darkened my understanding and stirred up my soul to murder him. If you see one that have more good fortune than you, do not grieve, but pray for him, that his happiness may be perfect. And if one of the wicked even should grow rich in substance, like Esau, my father's brother, do not envy him. Wait for the end of the Lord. This also tell unto your children, that they shall honor Judah and Levi, for from them the Lord will cause a Savior to arise unto Israel. For I know that in the end your children will fall off from God, and they will take part in all wickedness, malice, and corruptness before the Lord. After Gad had rested a little while, he spake again. My children, hearken unto your father, and bury me with my fathers. Then he drew up his feet and slept in peace. After 5 years, his sons carried his remains to Hebron unto his fathers. Asher's last words. Now Asher, when we look up Asher in the book of Genesis, Gad, he said, will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at their heels. They said in another wording that a troop will overcome Gad, but in the end, Gad will come back and overcome them. Asher, Genesis 49:20 says, Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. All right, let's go to Asher's testimony. Asher's last words. In the 125th year of his life, while he was still robust in health, Asher summoned his children unto him and admonished them to walk in the ways of virtue and fear God. He spake, hearken, ye sons of Asher, unto your father, and I will show you all that is right before God. 2 ways have God put before the children of men, and 2 inclinations have he bestowed upon them. 2 kinds of actions and 2 aims. Therefore all things are in twos, the one opposite to the other. But ye, my children, ye shall not be double, pursuing both goodness and wickedness, which is good or evil. Ye shall cling only to the ways of goodness. For the Lord taketh delight in them, and men yearn after them, and flee from wickedness. For thus you will destroy the evil inclination. Heed well the commands of the Lord, by following truth with a single mind. Observe the law of the Lord, and have not the same care for wicked things as for good things. Rather keep your eyes upon what is truly good, and guard it through all the commands of the Lord. The end of man, when he meets the messengers of God and of Satan, shows whether he was righteous or unrighteous in his life. If his soul goes out with agitation, she will be plagued by the evil spirit, whom she served with her lust and her evil deeds. But if she departs tranquilly, the angel of peace will lead her to life eternal. So, be not like Sodom, my children, which recognize the angels of the Lord, that ye be not delivered into the hands of your enemies, and your land be cursed, and your sanctuary destroyed. and you be scattered to the four corners of the earth, and scorned in the confusion like stale water, until the Most High shall visit the earth, and break the heads of the dragons in the waters. Tell this, my sons, unto your children, that they be not disobedient toward God. For I read in the tablets of the heavens that you will be contumacious and act impiously toward him who is God, and that you will have no care for the law of God, but you will heed human laws, and they are corrupted by reason of man's godlessness or ungodliness. Therefore, ye will be dispersed abroad like unto Gad and Dan, my brothers, my brethren. Gad and Dan dispersed. This is what Asher is speaking to his brother, to his sons. And ye, or you will not know either your land or your tribe from which you come from, or your tongue. Nevertheless, the Lord will gather you in his faithfulness for the sake of his gracious mercy and for the sake of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was what was said to have happened to Asher. This prophecy is from the 12th dynasty in Egypt, when the tribes of Israel lived and they died. Then there was a Pharaoh who knew not the tribes of Israel, and that's when the tribulation came upon the house of Israel at the Exodus, and then the Passover, okay? All right. Asher continues to speak. He says, and when he had made an end of saying these words, he commanded them to bury him in Hebron, and he sank into sweet sleep and died. His sons did as he had commanded, and they carried him up and buried him with his fathers. All right, Benjamin is the next testimony. Okay, let's look in Genesis 49. When Jacob blesses his sons, he says in 49:27, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. Okay, that's what Jacob said was going to be about his son Benjamin, a ravenous wolf. And in Egypt, there's a god on the hieroglyphs called Anubis, which is like a ravenous wolf. He's like a wolf god. The body of a man, head of a wolf. I believe that's the same thing. Anubis. He was the lord of the underworld, a god of embalming the dead people. So if Benjamin is like a ravenous wolf, he buries the dead people, and he takes what he wants off dead bodies, okay? Just like if they had a gold medallion on their neck, or if they had a gold signet ring on their finger, that's what Benjamin was like. He would rob the dead people. He would take off a dead person's body. And, you know, he was somebody like that. That's how he said the tribe of Benjamin would be like. Okay. All right, this is the testimony of Benjamin. Benjamin extols Joseph. Benjamin was 125 years old, and he called his children to come to him. When they appeared, he kissed them and spake, as Isaac was born unto Abraham in his old age. So was I born unto Jacob when he was stricken in years. Therefore, I was called Benjamin, the son of days. My mother Rachel died at my birth, and Bilhah, her slave, suckled me. Rachel had no children for 12 years after bearing Joseph. Therefore, she prayed to God and fasted 12 days. And she conceived and bare me. Our father loved Rachel fondly, and had longed greatly to have 2 sons by her. When I came down to Egypt, and my brother Joseph recognized me, he asked me, what said my brethren to my father regarding me? And I told him that they had sent Jacob his coat stained